Hello, I'm Taya and I'm here to teach you a little bit about art history. Today's lecture is all about the Renaissance. Renaissance is a French word meaning rebirth. The term refers to the period in European civilization that marked a revival of classical art, learning, and wisdom. The period saw new contributions to scientific law, art, architecture, as well as religious and political ideas. The Renaissance followed the Middle Ages, characterized by a surge of interest in classical scholarship and values. This period saw a renewed discovery and exploration of new continents, the decline of the feudal system, a growth in commerce, the invention and application of paper, printing, the mariner's compass, and gunpowder. Primarily, there was a resurgence of classical learning and wisdom. This renewed interest in learning about the achievements of the ancient Greeks and Romans began in Italy, particularly Florence and Venice, areas which became rich through trade and industry and became the center for artists and sculptors at the time. Humanism was a system of education and mode of inquiry that spread throughout continental Europe and England in the 13th and 14th centuries. Humanism emphasized the abilities and accomplishments of human beings, with many believing that people were capable of great things through valuing education and learning. This meant that artists, leaders, writers, architects, and scientists were heavily admired by society. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 provided a boost for humanism, as many Eastern scholars fled to Italy, bringing books, manuscripts, and Greek scholarship tradition with them. There are three main features to humanism. Its subject was human nature in all forms. It stressed the unity and compatibility of truth found in all philosophical and theological schools and systems. Rather than the medieval ideal of penance as the highest form of human activity, the humanists look to the struggle of creation and the mastery of nature. Humanism looked forward to a rebirth of a lost human spirit and wisdom. Humanism affected society by freeing men and women from the structures imposed by religious orthodoxy, inspiring criticism and inspiring a confidence in the possibilities of human thought and creation. The Renaissance was focused greatly in art, which came to be seen as a new branch of knowledge, valuable in its own right and capable of showing regular men the images and insights of God. To men like Leonardo da Vinci, art and the Renaissance became a science. It provided a space to explore nature and record new discoveries. Art was a way to observe the visible world and practice mathematical principles such as balance, harmony, and perspective, all practices which were invented at the time. The Italian Renaissance was preceded by a Proto-Renaissance in the 13th and 14th centuries. Giotto was the most famous artist of this period, and he revealed a new pictorial style that was clear, simple, and psychological, divergent from the flat decorativeness of his predecessors and contemporaries. Unfortunately, the plague of 1348 and civil wars squashed this revival, and the Renaissance did not surface again until the 15th century. In 1401, Brunelleschi and Donatello left Florence for Rome, where they studied ancient architecture and sculpture. After returning to Florence, they put their knowledge into practice, and so began the 15th century Renaissance period. One of the major instigators of Renaissance painting was Masaccio. The intellectuality of his conceptions, his compositions, and the high degree of naturalism of his works would inspire generations of artists to come. At the time, Florence was the art hub of Italy, with the construction and decoration of churches and monasteries being assisted by wealthy merchant families, in particular the well-known Medici family. The Medici family traded all over Europe, with their most famous commissions being the masterpiece of Northern Renaissance art, the Portinari altarpiece by Hugo van der Goes. The work was painted with transparent oil glaze that created a jewel-like color and glossy finish, unlike the typical tempera of the period. High Renaissance art was produced for around 35 years when Rome was sacked by imperial troops. The art was dominated by three famous figures: Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Each man embodied separate but important elements of the period. Da Vinci was the Renaissance man, a solitary genius that was not scared of foreign studies. Michelangelo emanated creative power, drawing inspiration for vast projects from the human body and anatomy. Raphael was known for creating works that perfectly emanated the classical spirit of harmony, beauty, and serenity. Donato Bramante was the creator of High Renaissance architecture. Coming to Rome when he was 55, the architect's masterpiece in the Tempietto at San Pietro in Montanaro. The work is a centralized dome that recalls classical temple architecture. Leonardo da Vinci was recognized as a great artist during his lifetime, but many underestimate his studies into anatomy, the nature of flight, and the structure of plant and animal life. These endeavors unfortunately left him little time to actually paint. His worldwide fame is based on only a few works: the Mona Lisa, the Virgin of the Rocks, and the Last Supper fresco. Michelangelo's early sculptures, such as the Pieta and the David, are known as prime examples of his technical ability with a disposition to bend the rules of anatomy and proportion to serve expressive power. Although Michelangelo was primarily a sculptor, his best-known work is the giant ceiling fresco of the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican. He completed the fresco in 4 years, and it was an incredibly complex but unified composition, merging Christian theology with Neoplatonic thought. Raphael's greatest work is likely the School of Athens, painted at the same time Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. Unlike Michelangelo's complex, turbulent work, Raphael shows groups of calm, conversing philosophers and artists in a vast court. The artist was heavily inspired by Leonardo da Vinci, but unlike the contemporary, he preferred classical harmony and clarity. The Renaissance fell with the fall of Rome in 1527. Strains between Christian faith and classical humanism led to the development of Mannerism in the later part of the 16th century. However, works of the Renaissance spirit continued in northern Italy and Europe. Northern Italian artists such as Correggio and Titian were seemingly unaffected by the Mannerist crisis, and they continued celebrating Venus and the Virgin Mary. The Mona Lisa is possibly not only the most famous work from the Renaissance, but in all of art history. The portrait, now thought to be Lisa Gherardini, was an oil painting by Leonardo da Vinci on a poplar wood panel. The work was painted sometime between 1503 and 1519, while the artist lived in Florence. It now hangs in the Louvre Museum in Paris, where it remained an object of pilgrimage in the 21st century. The sitter's smile and unproven identity has been an incredible source of investigation and fascination for over a century. The Last Supper is another work that is worldwide famous, painted by Leonardo da Vinci between 1495 and 1498 for the Dominican monastery Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan. The work depicts the biblical scene described in the Gospels, in which Jesus declared that one of the apostles will betray him. According to Da Vinci, each of the 12 disciples is posed in a way he believed fit the individual's personality and how they would react to such news. The result is a complex study of emotion in a deceptively simple composition. Thank you for watching today's lecture. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this. See you next time.